Well, hello there, you beautiful person, you. Thank you for being here. This is Freedom from Alcohol, the podcast where we talk about alcohol, but not just alcohol, right? Because, quite frankly, there's only so much we could talk about when it comes to alcohol. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about something that doesn't really involve alcohol. Is that okay with you guys if we kind of veer off the alcohol path a little bit?
Please, yes.
Yeah. And by the way, my name is Chris. We got Lauren, got Matt. How are you guys?
Hey, hey.
Good. How are you, Chris?
Oh, God, fantastic. Thank you for asking. Um,
Absolutely.
so, yeah, what we want to talk about today is, you know, what you're putting into your mind, because a lot of times people that drink aren't really thinking about these sort of things, but it really does make a difference. And we have clients that we work with in our coaching program, and we always talk about this. We ask them like, okay, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you scrolling through on social media? Because all of these inputs that we're putting into our brain matter. And it's not just media. We'll get into the other things too that have an impact on this. But so many of us, my former self included, and even my current self, I mean, I still let not so great things in once in a while, but because I wasn't aware of like what am I doing on a regular basis? What am I consuming? How am I programming my brain? How am I getting brainwashed without even realizing it? And I think so many people walk around having no clue that they are brainwashing themselves or they're getting brainwashed. Because if you think about what you're watching, if you're watching the news all of the time, for example, think about how negative the news is. And they know that. Media and TV and the news, all of these outlets that you're scrolling on X or Twitter or whatever, they know that they want to get you worked up because you're going to keep coming back for more, right? And so if you're sitting there scrolling on X all day or you're on Twitter or whatever they call it nowadays, and you're seeing either political stuff or news, just it's really having a damaging effect on your brain. And I used to do this and I get caught up in it. When I worked in the radio industry, we had to kind of know what was going on. And we
Yeah.
talked about, when the election was going on. Because right now, obviously, there's an election going on here in the US, and the rhetoric is insane. The amount of just crud and crap spewing back and forth, the divisiveness. I mean, it's really gross. You guys have seen this, right? I mean, how can you not? It's so easy to get sucked into it. Have you guys gotten sucked
Mhm.
into it?
I have. Yeah. And I'm Canadian, right? So I granted
Hey.
that our economy is somewhat symbiotic with the United States, to put it politely. We're the neighbors to the north, right? So yeah, I definitely got sucked in more so than I have in previous elections. Absolutely.
Yes, same.
And it's designed to do that because the more times you keep coming back to watch it, to listen to it, to read the articles, whatever, the media gets more money, right? Because there's more eyeballs on the content, so they can
Mhm.
charge more for, sponsorships and stuff like that. And so it really is important to take a step back and go, what am I consuming on a regular basis? How much time are you spending arguing with people online, looking at whatever news it is that you're looking at, watching it? Um, and it's not just the news and stuff. It's, listening to certain podcasts. Like if you look at the top podcasts, what always
Mhm.
comes in like the top 5, 10, 20?
Murder mysteries and such, right?
Yes.
Like
Something.
Joe Rogan, right? Who's somewhat intentionally divisive as well, or controversial. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but I mean, there's a ton of like murder shit on there,
Hmm.
right? Like people getting murdered and mysteries and it's just dark. And whether it's that or Dateline, constantly watching that. I used to watch Forensic Files like it was no joke, man. That and Criminal Minds, like all these dark sort of TV shows where people are getting killed and murdered, and it's just really, um, what's the word? Like blown up.
More,
Like it's
yeah.
yeah,
Sensationalized. Yeah.
exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so then we get caught and we don't even realize that it's like, oh damn, this world really sucks. There's so much, there's murder, there's bad people, everybody hates each other. And we get into this negative headspace. And we wonder why we go into bad habits like drinking alcohol. Well, that's what our brain is going to go to if we feel like the world is a shitty place. We're going to
Mhm.
go to give us some of that dopamine. Where can we find something that it lets us escape from that shit for a little while? And it's the alcohol. I mean, you guys can speak to this. I used to really get wrapped up in a lot of this stuff. And now being aware of it, I catch myself if I find myself like scrolling through Twitter or X for too long. I'm going, I gotta take a break from this because you
Mhm.
get wrapped up in it. Do you guys find that too, Lauren? How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always have to take a step back when I realize how it's impacting me. And I think that would be the biggest message is um, when you're looking at media, how is it making you feel? I remember I used to watch the news before bed because it would be something that I could easily fall asleep during. And I live in a small town, so the news would be like Cleveland or Columbus, and I'm in Ashland. I don't need to know who got robbed in Cleveland. That doesn't do anything for my life. I'm not going to be like close to those people. I don't know, but I started to pay attention to how it made me feel. Was it making me feel nice and relaxed, like I wanted to go to sleep, or was it freaking me out? Because there's at least one murder every night that we get to hear about on the news. There's just all this bad stuff going on, and it does really color your lens on how you see the world, and then it colors your mood and everything
Hmm.
else. So,
Hmm.
but aside from the media, we have to start looking at how does it make you feel? If it makes you feel or like, oh, there's joy here, negative people. Are you noticing how they make you feel? And if so, do these people have to be in your life? Yes, if they work with you, fine. You know, they're an employee of the same company that you work with. Okay, but how can you distance? How can you take yourself out of that instead of being in the drama cycle of, you know, talking shit about whoever because they're so negative and this and that? How can you remove yourself so that the negativity is no longer impacting you? If it's people that you can't get away from, but there are a lot of people that we put up with that don't need to be in our lives. And so as you know, we're not talking alcohol today, but we really are, because one of the things that happens as soon as you quit drinking is you start looking around and saying, ooh, I'm putting up with a lot of BS here.
Hmm.
This person's been treating me this way and I've been accepting it because I felt like I had to because of the shame and the guilt of the cycle of alcohol and all of that. But how does that person make you feel? And is that something you're going to keep dealing with? Or are you going to start having some boundaries around these issues as you're moving into that sober life that you're now rebuilding? You're rebuilding your house, you're redecorating it. And is this person going to get to stay? Or do they got to go? So how does that person make you feel? How does it feel when you watch 3 hours of political back and forth? How did you feel after the debate? How did you feel after, you know, we're not going to get political here, please God, but how does it make you feel to your favorite candidate? How does it make you feel when you're watching the other side and they're bashing your candidate? Are you getting all riled up and pissed off and then you're acting like rude to your family? Like, stop. So can we have some boundaries and can we start to notice when we are getting reeled in, especially with the media? And I'm not talking just TV because that's kind of like yesteryear, but like TikTok, X, Facebook, like we're seeing all these divisive things and we're seeing all these, and then we're arguing with people for what? Why are we arguing with people on Facebook, right?
Hmm.
So to me, start paying attention to how you're feeling. And when something's not feeling good to you and it doesn't feel light and uplifting, it feels really gross. Now, there are some things we have to get through, right? But as far as what are we letting in, start paying attention to how you're feeling about it and then make decisions based on this person gets to stay. This situation gets to stay. My murder mystery novels get to stay, but I'm going to ditch the 12 o'clock news at night that's only talking about kittens getting stolen and people getting murdered. So being able to just start balancing that out a little bit better. What do you think about it, Matt? That's kind of where my brain went.
Yeah, I love like the process of removal and feeling into it. I think is a great. I hopefully summarized essentially what you said there. Like
Yeah.
then they're both great pieces of advice and great points, Lauren. For myself, like I'll use my YouTube algorithm, like these algorithms that show up when you're using social media and even YouTube acting as sort of a social media this day and age. And I'm health and wellness, so a lot of working out videos for men. And then mysteriously, I'm noticing like these like yoga videos are coming in. Before you know it, it's like softcore porn yoga videos have snuck in there. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, what's going on here? And it's just kind of sneaks in there. And I'm like, if I was 16-year-old Matt again, I'm like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. And right. And I'm like, part of me is like, do I click? No, don't
Right.
click. Right. So like the whole idea of like even softcore porn is like all over
Is that
YouTube.
on YouTube? Really? I thought
Yeah,
that
dude.
they
There's
Didn't know
like,
are like
that.
strict about that stuff.
well, I don't have, I don't think I have that setting on, Chris.
Well,
Perhaps I'll have to look into
Perhaps
believe
that.
because
me.
he's like out of his
Yeah,
teens.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So
I
there's
mean,
for a guy, for a guy, it's like it's so like porn. There's so many parallels between pornography, internet porn, and alcoholism, and just any addictive, right? And so like I've really taken a step back from that too, because it's so easily accessible. It's such an easy. Oh, I need to change my state. Oh, you know what? Google whatever, or it just sneaks up on me in YouTube apparently, right? Um, So these types of things too is like be wary of that. There's like a Stoic quote, I can't remember, but it's like, be the guardian of your mind, right? Be vigilant, ever vigilant about what you're putting into your mind because it will affect you. And I have noticed the last few months getting specific into like the American politics, that dude that had all the face tattoos that was all over TikTok that like brutally murdered two people, and like all the women were like, "Oh, but he's so, oh, I need to save him," and all this. And I just found myself like just really quickly resonating with it is in the fact that like I would sort of lower in that low vibe and it would work me up. And I'm like, oh, this is what, like, to Chris's point, this is what these things want you to do. They want you to draw you in and take the low road, right? And it's
Mhm.
almost like media in general, like the news has become its own like trolling sort of thing. It's like
Yeah.
you're basically trolling the people that don't agree with you instead of just objectively presenting something that's fact based. It's all about like trolling other people and getting people worked up, and it's really easy to fall for it. And I just remember like my previous job, there's a lot of just negativity, and you could feel the person that came in the room, and I could feel my guard go up a little bit, and because I knew certain people were going to lead with a complaint and victimy, and it's just like it over a long enough timeline really did start to affect me. And generally speaking, I'll be positive but also pragmatic, right? Realistic about with the way things are, that there's problems to deal with, but I would approach them with positivity and okay, where from a point of collaboration. But eventually, if you keep letting this stuff in, it wore me down, and there'd be certain times where I just have outbursts that I wouldn't normally have because of this constant negativity that's like being inputted into my brain. So back to what Lauren said, it's the best thing you can do is just take a step back from that, pull yourself out from it. How's this making me feel? That's the best thing. How's it show up in my body? Is it making me like, I'm kind of getting red in the face even talking about this right now, right? What is it doing? Is it making me feel relaxed and expansive and creative? Or is it making me like angry at stupid people I've never even met that, like, you know what I mean? They can't spell properly. That's the other thing. Usually people that come at you, they don't have proper grammar. And I'm like, oh, come on, buddy.
That's
That's
just
not the
adding
right your.
insult
That's
to
not the,
injury.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. When they say too much, but it's TO, I'm like, oh, I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna, yeah,
Oh,
don't,
the grammar thing.
right?
I'm such the grammar police when it comes to that,
That's
or
so
the
funny.
your, the
Oh,
where
the wrong
your.
your.
Yeah,
Just,
just
yeah,
drives me nuts.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you think of your brain like a sponge, right? And if you're gonna drop your sponge in shit, well, then your sponge is gonna be covered with shit, right? And so you get to clean it off by getting away from this stuff. You talk about how the media and everything shows you the negativity. Like you don't hear on the news about the single mom who's raising three kids, working five jobs, and who's a freaking hero because people don't want to watch that. It's sad as it is. Our brains are just naturally attracted to negativity, and you can look up. There's so many studies that have been done on this. So, like, if you go and talk to one negative person, right? You're hanging around a negative person for 5, 10, 15 minutes. You got to go talk to five positive people just to counterbalance that. And so you're really working against yourself if you are hanging around negative people. Think about a bar. What do people do? They sit around and bitch, right? Oh, my
Hmm.
job, my wife, my husband, blah, 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 blah. Just sit around and bitching. And what I've learned from when I quit drinking and then personal development, like growing and working on who I am and what I want to do, I've really learned to not sit and like I hate gossiping. I don't want to talk about other people because it's not getting me. It's just a waste of time and energy. That's not my problem. I would rather talk about ideas and where I want to go and what I want to do. Like, think of how much time we waste on shit that just doesn't matter, stuff that'll never affect us, that's out of our
Hmm.
control, and we're
Hmm.
allowing it to enter our brains and our bodies and getting all worked up. And guess what? Guess where most disease comes from? It's stress built up in your body. So if you're
Hmm.
sitting around negative people, if you're watching negative shit, if you're watching murder stuff and stuff that's not good for your brain, this is where all this stuff starts to build up. Okay. So, and I never knew any of this, right? Um, but once you kind of educate yourself on, well, where does stress really come from? It starts in the body. And we have a choice that we can decide we're not going to go down that rabbit hole anymore. We're going to turn the TV off. We're going to stop doom scrolling. We're going to go for a walk in nature. We're going to go volunteer. We're going to help some people in our community or help the people in our family, right? We're going to go get a second job to feel accomplished, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
How can we better spend
Yeah.
our time and change the inputs that we have coming in? Because here's the deal. What the main takeaway I want you to take away from listening to this is you have that choice. If you really step back and think about it, Everything is designed to get your attention these days. We live in a world that is like constant over here, over here, over here. And it's overwhelming as shit. And again, most of it's negative, right? So you can unplug. And I know it's hard for all of us, for me included, just because of the society that we're in. But we have to remind ourselves of being aware, and we do have a choice. Unplug, put the phone down, go for a walk, be with your loved ones, and just watch how much your mood and attitude will change. And when you're in that headspace, guess what? Shit like alcohol and poisoning yourself and destructive behaviors aren't as appealing. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, we talk about in our program, we have a module about this rat park experiment, which was done, I think, back in the 60s, where they took a bunch of rats and they gave them heroin. And, they were just locked in this confinement. They were in a tiny little cage and they gave them regular water and heroin water. And the rats kept going for the heroin water because, well, look, you're in a freaking cage. It's like depressing. It's dark. Of course, you want to like escape that shit. Then they took all those same rats and built this beautiful park where they could go and, run on hamster wheels. They had food. They had other little rat buddies they could mingle with and play with. And they still had both the choice of the regular water and the heroin water. And guess what? They started going to the regular water because once their brain was filled with, oh, there's other people I can communicate with here. There's happy things.
Mm.
There's good things. They didn't want that shit anymore. And so, you know, this all plays a role in why you keep going back to alcohol if you're living in a dark headspace, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I love that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It
Yes.
reminds me too of like I like to use the music comparison. Right, if I got a couple of guitars behind me, so if I hit the A string on the one guitar, the A string, even though I haven't hit it on the other side of the room, that guitar, that A string will start vibrating. So same kind of thing. It's like you are going to resonate one way or the other with whatever content or whatever person you're hanging out with, right? So if you're hanging out with, like you were saying, Chris, the guys at the bar or the girls at the bar, and everybody's gossipy, even if you have the best intentions and you come in with a positive mindset, it's just that human nature to just start resonating at their frequencies, right? And if anybody's not familiar with this, I highly recommend check it out. Dr. David Hawkins' emotional scale. So basically, it has like the numeric, like a number attached to each emotion, each strong emotion, right? And then obviously, so it starts with like shame is 20, guilt 30, fear is 100, for example. Love, when you get far up the scale, is 500, right? So this idea that you can have, if your default emotion is a much more positive, high vibrational state, even acceptance, we'll just say neutrality, 250, courage, 200. So if you're showing up and that's your default emotion because you've plucked all these different people out of your life that you no longer need, they aren't serving you, you're not polluting your mind with, mass media all the time and social media, etc. When you are hanging out with people that are feeling fearful, which is 100, you're gonna, you're going to be that leader in the room. You're going to present a different outlook, and potentially you'll be able to have those people resonate to you as opposed to you essentially lowering yourself into that lower frequency range.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what did you say at the bottom there? Guilt and shame. Hello, drinkers. That's
Yeah,
first thing in the
totally.
morning and most of the
Yeah.
day. Guilt and shame were hovered in, and
Yeah.
we wonder why
Yeah.
we feel like ass, and then we get back and go, well, we might as well
And then
drink
it's
again
time to
later on the day.
it's time to drink again after that. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter after
Yeah.
5, right?
Yeah.
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 That's
For
right.
your
Exactly.
for your 5, 10, 15 minutes of calm and anxiety release that you think you're getting from that drink. But then guess what? It's going to be right back there until you keep drinking more and more. And then you just drink enough where you're numb and you don't have to think about anything. And then you pass out. Oh, but then you wake up and do it again every day. And again, it's like I said earlier, the rat park. You're a hamster on a wheel at that point, and it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All right. Anything else there, or are we going to wrap it up? Is that good?
I
Good
think
little
that's
Good.
good. Good
Good.
little
Yeah.
package
nuggets
there.
there. Watch what you're putting in your mind because it affects your attitude. It affects how your day goes. So
Yeah. And your relationships and
weeding
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
everything. Start weeding out the stuff that's not important, is drama, is gossip. Because even being in the gossipy place puts you in that low vibration.
Yep.
Even if you're just like for a while, I was the person that wouldn't gossip, but I'd listen to it. And that still put me in that lower
Yeah.
space. Just pay attention to where your vibration is. And I love that you said, Matt, like if you're in a place of love and joy and you do come across these negative people, hopefully you're bringing them up. You're helping
Totally.
them
Yeah.
rise above and helping them even have a better experience that day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can do an experiment today. If you go out and you go to the store or something, smile at somebody and watch. They'll probably smile back. It's just an energy, natural sort of thing. And if you frown at somebody or if you kind of have your head down, they'll probably do the same thing. Like you can really transfer your energy and be that leader. And one of the best things about becoming alcohol free is being a leader. We talk about this with our clients all the time, how their friends see them stepping up their game and elevating themselves. And then the people in their life go, hey, man, that's pretty cool. That's impressive. I want to do that too. So it is really cool when you get alcohol out of your life and you start realizing all these things. But as long as you stay drinking, you're not going to realize these things. You're going to stay stuck. And that's really, really not a place that you want to be. So just realize that you have the choice to get out of this mindset and get into a happy one and a healthy one. So there you have it, folks. And thank you for listening. Again, share this podcast, leave a 5-star review. If you find value in it, write a little comment. Doesn't even have to be like a whole long thing, but a nice little, hey, thanks for the where I can find some softcore porn on YouTube. Just got to take that filter off. Like, thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you want to leave a comment
That's what
on,
I'm here for.
we would appreciate it. And
Yeah.
so there's that. And then also, hey, if you're interested in working with us, we run Freedom from Alcohol, which is not just the name of the podcast and our Facebook group, but it's also the name of our coaching community and our mastermind that we have a 96% success rate, a ton of badass, bold, brave people in there that are high achievers. That have turned their life around and gotten rid of alcohol, lost a desire for it, and then gone on to have a really great mindset like we're talking about today, so that everything's not dark. They're not living in darkness, right? If you want to be a part of that and you want to work with us, you can go to getoverdrinking.com and you can see what we're all about, and you can set up a call with me and we'll see if we're a good fit for you. So check that out. We will see you guys next time on another episode of Freedom from Alcohol. See you.
Goodbye.
Bye, all.